Thank you, everyone. So I want to start off by addressing the flag, the Australian flag behind us on Australia Day. It is Australia Day today. So Australia Day. So there's an initiative by the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet, believe it or not, where you can email your local federal lower house member or senator to get a free Australian flag, which is what I did. It's also what Sasha did as well. Her flag is flying behind there. I emailed Zali Steggall's office, and I don't give much praise to Zali for a lot of her policies, but her office emailed me back that afternoon and I got that flag for free with a little booklet. So Australians for Better Government have been encouraging everyone to contact their local federal politician to get a free Australia flag ahead of Australia Day, to send a message to these politicians that we are patriotic about this country and we want to support and celebrate Australia Day. Now, if you've missed the boat and you haven't done it, because today is Australia Day, you can still do it. It doesn't have to be just before Australia Day. And I want to raise another point. I got a message from a friend today who was watching Sky News, and they're watching the Australia Day ceremony down in Canberra, and they had 3 flagpoles. And on the edge was the Australian flag, on the other edge was the Torres Strait flag, and in the middle was the Aboriginal flag. Where I work in the city, I work right near the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and they're flying 2 flags, the Australian flag and the Aboriginal flag. Prior to that, they were flying the Australian flag and the New South Wales state flag. I believe they should be flying one flag, the Australian flag. We are one country, we are one people, and we should have one flag. So I know it's tough walking into someone like Zali Steggall's office. It's not that bad. But email your politician, email your local member and say, I want to support Australia. I want to get my free Australian flag. And believe it or not, it's actually made in Australia. So how much better can you get? And so please, everyone, do that. All right, so on to Australians for Better Government. So it's 2025. This is the first meeting of all of you here in 2025. And I think the last meeting I was at, you were celebrating your 3-year anniversary. Congratulations again. But at that meeting, I spoke about the next step, because you've been able to keep this group together for a long time, but we need to be more active politically. And I spoke about setting up lobby groups and trying to not only influence our other Australians, but also putting pressure on politicians that, hey, we're not happy with this particular area, we're not happy with this particular area, and we want reform here. That's the next step for people like us, I believe. Now, Australians for Better Government is one of those lobby groups, but it's also a think tank. So it operates as a think tank where we discuss ideas and proposals. A lot of them are Kevin's, come out of Kevin's brain. I don't know how he's like a musician, and you say, oh, give me a riff, and he just plays something on the guitar. It comes out of him. Now, I agree with most of what Kevin says. I don't agree with everything that Kevin says, but I'm able to debate him within Australians for Better Government. But we also want to debate it amongst the membership group as well. And yesterday we held our first membership meeting, and we want to talk about particular issues with the membership. And as Kevin mentioned, we want to move towards a people's constitutional convention, where we get a whole group of people together in a central location, and we can debate things, proposals, as Kevin said, like, for example, electing the Governor-General of Australia. Kevin can argue that point. We may even have people that argue against that point. And then all of us decide what we want. We don't rely on politicians to drive the reform in this country. We rely on the people of Australia to drive reform in this country. And that's what Australians for Better Government is all about. We want as many people as possible to join us. Membership is currently free, and I've kept that membership free because I knew that Kevin was going to speak today, and I wanted all of you to be part of Australians for Better Government without having to make a financial contribution as a gift to you guys, because part of this movement was birthed in one of these meetings. Because I saw that all of you were continuing to fight by having these meetings, but we need to take it to the next step. So membership will incur a cost, probably in about a week's time or at the start of February. So if you can, today or over the next couple of days, head to australiansforbetter.com and sign up to be a member. And we want to involve you in these discussions. All the ideas that Kevin has thrown out today, maybe you agree with them, maybe you disagree with them, but let's have that discussion, let's have that conversation, and hopefully we can involve as many people as possible, because the more people that we have in this movement, and hopefully the more donations that we incur, we can be a much more successful lobby group in lobbying our politicians and saying, we want reform, we want certain referendums to happen, we want certain legislation passed that reforms and betters our system of government, and with the more members behind us, the more we'll be able to advance that message. We have taken this very, very seriously. We've set up as an incorporated association. So if you do choose to donate, everything has to be declared. All that money will be going back into the movement. It won't be going into our pockets, because at the end of the year we hold AGMs, and all that has to get declared. It's all open and transparent. We've done that for a reason, so everything is open and there's no questions. You guys can see the membership list, you can see the financials, everything is open. So that's Australia for Better Government. I also want to talk about the whole umbrella view of lobby groups, because I've done the political party thing. I've been in One Nation, I've been in the Liberal Party. When you're in a political party, they tell you what you can say, what you can't say, what you can do, what you can't do, the issues you can advocate for, the issues you can't advocate for. And I think you have greater flexibility being as part of a think tank or a lobby group. And I think those groups should be specialised in certain areas. So Australians for Better Government focuses on governmental reform, constitutional reform. Other groups, like the National Rational Energy Network, which I'm a committee member on, focuses on our energy system and advocating for good energy policies. I've also joined another group called Let's Rethink Renewables, which will be focusing on the destruction that's happening in our rural communities with these wind and solar projects. It is horrible, because people in rural communities are underrepresented in Parliament. We have all these city electorates. We have members like Zali Steggall and Sophie Scamps and Allegra Spender and all these Teals and Greens, Chris Bowen out in McMahon, all centralised in Sydney, pushing policies like windmills and solar panels. But then they say, no, we don't want them in our areas, we want them out in the bush. And the best example of that, and I've said this over and over again, I'll keep repeating it, because I think everyone needs to hear this and I want to drum it into people. If you go to Zali Steggall's website and you look at her policy page, on the page it says, what does Zali stand for? When it's under solar panels and wind farms, she says, I do not support wind farms along Warringah's beachfront. But she advocates for a 75% reduction in emissions by 2035, and she wants that to happen with windmills and solar panels. But don't put them in Warringah, put them in someone else's backyard. Somewhere, yeah. And the Teals will tell you, oh, we've got all this desert in Australia, we can just carpet the desert with solar panels. They're not putting it in the desert because the desert's so far away. They're putting it in towns like Coolah and Dunedin and Dubbo as part of these renewable energy zones. And the people in those communities don't have any representation, because they may live in an electorate like Parkes, which is a third the size of New South Wales. So this is a big problem. So this is the power of lobby groups. It's the power of think tanks. And that's where I think the next step is. So thank you all, and happy Australia Day.